everybody. This is Rod Meldrum, the Book of Mormon Evidence Guy, and we're sitting here at the Firm Foundation Expo in the 35th
Wow.
International Book of Mormon Evidence Conference.
That's amazing.
And I'm very excited to have Jim Lucas with us today. And I haven't had a chance to really get to know you very well, and I feel like I've been cheated.
You have been, and the same. I've been cheated. I mean,
but I know you and Jonathan Neville have been dear friends for
decades,
many years. Yes,
decades and decades.
And so I thought, this is, I think, you mentioned about 4 times you've been to these
right.
expos,
and I've spoken at 3 of them.
Yeah, but tell us a little bit about more about yourself and why are you coming to these crazy expos?
I'd be happy to talk about that. So, by trade, like Jonathan, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Except
Nice.
that I've lived in New York for all my adult life until very recently.
Yes.
Nice. And while I was in New York, I pursued a career as a lawyer, but I also pursued church history projects.
Oh, this is by you and Jonathan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I used to describe Jonathan as my doppelganger. We're both lawyers. We're both interested in politics. We're both interested in church history. We're both entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So we just had a lot of things in common.
I've never seen him with as nice a beard, though.
That's right. I can't speak to that. He was always a fair-haired kid. So,
yeah.
super really blonde people, they don't always have the best beards for it. But in any event, I described him as my doppelganger. So he would be writing, and we'd send each other, and I would write stuff, and then we'd send each other our stuff.
Wow.
And we did a little bit of legal work together and so forth. But then when I moved to Utah about 3 years ago, I was finally able to really plunge into kind of the world.
So do you have roots in Utah, or did you come here for any particular purpose?
I have relatives, I have family that's here. So it was sort of like, where do I do at a certain point, you got to kind of figure out where you're going to go for the rest of your life. And since I have family here and lots of friends here and so forth. But one of the reasons I moved here was because I wanted to be more in the middle of the action. And the Firm Foundation conferences are the heart of the action. It kind of has become that.
Yeah,
absolutely has become that. But what I have described the Firm Foundation to parties who you'd be surprised as Big Tent Mormonism. I've said this is, as far as I have been able to discover, this is the biggest tent. More people of more different, backgrounds and interests are welcome here than any other organization that does conferences and symposia and so forth that I've encountered. So I just find every time I've come to one of these things, I've met a ton of interesting new people from different interesting perspectives and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's because you're pretty much open-minded. You're open arms,
just seeking
big
the truth.
tent,
just seeking the truth.
Just seeking the truth. Yeah. So I just really have loved it. So
well, I think that our Heavenly Father basically is a pretty. The path is straight. We know that, but there's a lot of different ways to get there.
That's right.
And,
people come from a lot of different. There's that big open field, but people come from a lot of different parts of the field to get to the path.
Yeah.
And you got to recognize that people come from a lot of different directions, a lot of different backgrounds, and so forth to get on the path.
Well, I appreciate one of the work that I'm the most familiar with of yours is the one that you did with Jonathan, which is right there, by means of the Urim and Thummim.
That's right.
And one of my favorite books. And I love the fact that the two of you have been able to get some pretty influential people to not only just to read the book, but actually to even endorse it.
Right. Well, having lived in New York for many, many years, I'm know Richard Bushman fairly well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And basically, I mean, this is something that I don't make a big deal about, but Jonathan does, was that when Richard was writing Rough Stone Rolling, he would send me chapters.
Okay, yeah.
I was one of his readers just to
Yeah.
give him feedback.
Give him feedback.
And so so I've been involved with this for a very, very long time. Though back then I wasn't aware of the issues that Jonathan
kind of the controversy
brought up, because Jonathan wasn't aware of them back then,
yeah.
in fact. So as Jonathan got into this, those issues, he would be telling me about them all the time. I'd be sending me what he wrote because I would review it for him too, give him feedback. And so I kind of got into it. And so one of the issues that really grabbed me was the issue of how the translation of the Book of Mormon happened.
Yeah.
So Jonathan had written a book called A Man That Can Translate, where he had reviewed kind of the basics of it. And so I told him, well, we need to do a short article length thing to introduce people to these ideas.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, okay, that's great. So we decided we'd kind of write up something that was drawing from A Man That Can Translate. But as we were working on it, two things happened. One, we both kept doing more research and discovering tons of new stuff.
It went from a pamphlet to a book.
That's right. So it was
an article to a pamphlet to a book.
It was a very, very long article. And so finally, when we sent it out to people to be published, people would say, oh, sorry, this is way too long. So you might as well make it a book. So he said, hey, okay, we got enough new material, might as well make it a book. So that result of that was by means of the Urim and Thummim, restoring translation to the Restoration.
That was just 2 years ago?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah, this came out, although we've gone through several variations
iterations
and revisions since then. So this was really where we really plunged into a big cooperative endeavor. And you know, I think that, well, let's put it this way. I mean, Richard was very generous and gave us a blurb for it, and some other prominent people like Susan Easton Black.
Yes.
I've
always admired Susan Easton Black. Her knowledge of the church history is kind of unparalleled, really, in lots of ways.
That's right. And so, I mean, she not only provided us with an endorsement here, but she actually gave some feedback on some of the issues, because she wrote a big biography of Martin Harris. And obviously Martin Harris is a major character in the translation of the Book of Mormon.
Absolutely.
So she gave us a lot of input on that and so forth. So since then, I can say that, let's put it this way, our book has become known to a number of people of some influence. I'm not going to name names. But
better not.
but the important thing, I think, is that it's out there.
Yes.
And so while the the established scholars have kind of gotten themselves all locked into having declared that it was a seer stone that was used, they now have to kind of acknowledge that you've got this nuisance book here that
a bit of a thorn.
That insisted that Joseph and Oliver were telling the truth about the Book of Mormon. So, you know, it's out there, and we're going to continue to, at least I will continue to give podcasts and lectures and appear here at the Firm Foundation Conference. And we're just going to keep this out there so that, you know, they can't be ignored.
Yeah.
The issue can't be ignored. And I think, you know, it'll gradually, we hope, kind of become better known.
Become the new norm. Well, actually, it would become the old norm again.
That's right, which it was. That's
almost
right.
Like a restoration back to
which it was.
What Joseph and Oliver.
So this, you know, so very much parallels the Heartland movement and the geography.
It does.
Where
it really
that
does.
was sort of the traditional understanding. Then you had this newfangled theory that kind of quickly became very dominant, and now is slowly having to acknowledge that there are other points of view.
And even kind of drifting, kind of a little bit into the sunset in some situations there. But
that's right.
No, but before we get too far along, look down at the camera so everybody can see your hat there.
Okay, so this
So
is our
why don't you
Urim and
explain
Thummim
that?
hat.
I love this new hat.
So this hat is, I mean, you don't have a close up here, but you have the front of it says UNT. It's a little bow which has UT in it, which stands for Urim and Thummim.
Yep.
So this is saying the Urim and Thummim. But the important thing is this a little doodad on the back, which is a hat with a cross through it saying Urim and Thummim, not the seer stone in the hat.
Not Sith.
So you can get these hats from Boyd Tuttle's Digital Legends website, and we still have a few. So you can kind of stand up for your point of view.
So how many times have you actually? Well, you and Jonathan did kind of a joint one a little while ago. But how many times have you actually been here and spoken? Because we have these recorded and people can go to our streaming website and watch these kind of as it's been unfolding.
So Jonathan and I did a joint presentation. Then I did a presentation on the method of translation, which we go into detail. We have a theory of how the Book of Mormon translation occurred, which is detailed in here. And then for another conference, I kind of organized some guys, Val Larson and Dave Butler, to speak about Margaret Barker and the history, how that her influence has adjusted how we understand the Book of Mormon and the Old Testament. And then at this conference, I spoke about some more material that's in this book about Joseph Smith as a young boy and how he was prepared to be a translator of the Book of Mormon.
That's one of the parts that I think that you and Jonathan have just done such a tremendous job with. I remember growing up, people were kind of saying, well, Joseph Smith was just kind of an ignorant, farm boy, didn't know anything, whatever. And now with what's been dug up by you and Jonathan, we find out that whole episode with his leg and the infection and so forth really changed the trajectory of Joseph Smith's life for very positive things. He always walked with a limp, as I understand, after that. But that one experience really moved his life in a preparatory way to ultimately accomplish what he.
That's right. It led him to study more and study the Bible more, because he simply had the time to do it, where he wouldn't have if he was just a healthy kid with a good leg on the farm. He would have been doing farm work. But also having that life-threatening experience just turned his mind more to religious things, like his mother said, more so than other boys of his age.
I think brushes with death will do that for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
when you realize that you're not invincible, and this life is, you never know how long you're going to have. So make the most of it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's so true with all of us in our lives. We never know if we're going to be here tomorrow or the next day, but so make the most of every day. I love what Jonathan says. It's that everything is awesome.
That's right. That's right. I hope that we all can remember that while he's not here to remind us.
Yeah. Well, listen. You've got another book here.
That's right. So I'm going to give you a preview of future Firm Foundation conferences.
Okay.
So
I'm ready.
Let's do this. So this is over 20 years ago. I wrote a book with a professor at the BYU Business School named Warner Woodworth.
Okay.
And that book was called Working Toward Zion.
Okay, so this is 20 years ago.
This is 20 years ago we published this book. So what happened was it was published with a publisher that shortly after the book was published went out of business.
So that happens to publishers a lot more now because of digital things.
That's right.
If they didn't go digital, they're kind of dead.
That's right. Yeah. So the book received some notice when it came out, but then it kind of disappeared because the publisher wasn't around to promote it anymore. Yeah. So they dumped all the copies in a warehouse that still could fulfill orders, and it eventually sold out.
Okay.
Just sitting in a warehouse with no publicity, no promotion, nobody discussing it, but still people were interested in it enough that it eventually sold out and it went out of print.
So where can people get a copy now?
So this is the coming project. is we are in the process of getting this back into print.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we hope that certainly by the time of the next conference in the fall, right, we will have this back in print, and I will be speaking about this at the next Firm Foundation conference.
So what makes this book unique?
This is called, it's called Working Towards Zion, Principles of the United Order for the Modern World.
Ooh.
So
That's a subject I love.
I think a lot of people are interested in this. So most members of the church have a basic idea of the law of consecration and stewardship. We're right now in the Doctrine and Covenants year in the Come Follow Me, and so everybody's going to be getting to section 42 pretty quick, and the other sections they're going to read about the United Order and the law of consecration and stewardship. So we have a basic, and there's kind of a folk memories, if you will, amongst LDS people about the old United Orders.
How they attempted to do it.
They attempted to do it and didn't work out so well.
Not so well.
So what we did in this book was first of all, we took all the scriptures and the history and we really dove into it. And while members of the church are fairly familiar with, because they read about it in the Doctrine and Covenants, the early efforts to have the United Order, they don't usually realize that after the saints got to Utah in the late 1800s, there was a major push to still establish the United Order. Brigham Young, John Taylor, Wilford Woodworth, Lorenzo Snow, those prophets all really pushed the United Order for a period of many decades. And it didn't work out, mainly because the anti-polygamy police, it's kind of hard to...
It became the biggest issue.
Right. It's hard to create a new economy when the cops are chasing all of your leadership into hiding for literally years and years and years. So that made it tough, and so those kind of fell apart. But what's fascinating is if you go into that history, which we did here, you discover that, so by the late 1800s, the Industrial Revolution had come to the United States. The United States was industrializing, and Utah was part of that economy. It was we had a lot of mining, and so the saints were.
Also, we had the trains now.
The train had come through. That's right. So the Utah had become integrated into the modern free enterprise industrial economy, and so when the prophets tried to implement the United Order, they were dealing with the issues of the modern economy.
Yes.
And they did so. Our folk memory of the United Order is mostly Orderville. Everybody knows about Orderville, but not much else. But in fact, there were over 100 different United Orders throughout Utah and the West that was started by the church. And they were all kinds of different things. Orderville was just one effort. It was just one version. But they had cooperative woolen mills and cooperative cities, and they had all kinds of different, they tried all kinds of, ZCMI started out as that kind of a thing. So they had all kinds of efforts trying to implement the principles of United Order in what was essentially the same economy we have now, modern industrial economy. So they left a lot of speeches, a lot of writings, and a lot of records about how they tried to do this.
So you've kind of assembled that?
So we assembled all that. We assembled the scriptures. We went through the Doctrine and Covenants, went through the Book of Mormon, looked at what the teachings were that the saints were drawing on when they tried to implement the United Order. And we kind of boiled it down to some principles. And then, so that's sort of like the first half of the book. And then the second half of the book, we went through and said, okay, we're not going to create the United Order because the real official United Order is priesthood directed. So when that time comes to do that, then the church will let us, the leaders of the church will let us know. But until then, is there anything we can do to implement the principles of the United Order?
We kind of know what hasn't worked.
Right.
Do you think we'll ever get to the point where we can make it work?
Absolutely, because that's what the second half of the book is about, is basically all kinds of different things that people can do to implement the United Order. Things that the church is doing, like the Perpetual Education Fund, which is based on the principles that we published in this book. My co-author, Warner Woodworth, was a consultant to the church on creating that. And then we go through private charities. Lots of Latter-day Saints are involved in private charity efforts. We talk about microcredit, and then we go to like the world industrial economy. There's a cooperative company in Spain based in a city called Mondragon, which we feel which is very successful and very well known throughout the world. And we're saying, why is that successful? Well, it was founded by a Catholic priest, but they basically stumbled upon the principles of the United Order, and that's why they have 30,000 employees and are one of the largest corporations in Spain.
So it can work in certain areas. And
so that's what we explore.
You find it's a little bit of a mindset as well as an economic.
It's all of that. It's all of that. In other words, there isn't like a magic formula necessarily. It very much is a mindset, but you also have to have some techniques. You have to know what to do.
Yeah.
You have to have some models, which is why we look at modern cooperative corporations as models, and we go all into that. And that's sort of the second half of the book. So, make a long story short, it's already been a long story, right? But anyway.
That's my favorite saying, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Long story short, then go to the long story.
What we did is we're going to bring this, my co-author, Warner Woodworth, and I, we went back and we looked at our book and we said, do we need to update it? And we realized basically our conditions that we have today in 2025 are the same that they were 20 years ago when we wrote this book. We're still, young people are struggling, there's, the costs are going up. There's churches growing in poor countries, countries with a lot of poor people. These are all the same situation that was in place when we wrote this book. So we said, this book is still very relevant to the modern church. Yeah. And so we updated some things. We wrote a new preface, updated some appendices, kind of did a second edition.
So in the next 6 months or so, you're going to...
And we hope to have it out here in the next 6 months or so. And I'll be here at the Firm Foundation talking about it.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Jim, for coming and taking a few minutes with us here at the Expo and for your expertise, for your friendship. I look forward to getting to know you better over the course of the next few years here. And since you're now here closer to Utah and not having to travel clear out to New York to get to see you.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's like I said, one of the reasons I moved here was to get more involved in groups like this. Yeah. And I'm really happy to get involved with the Firm Foundation because, like I said, you are the most broad-based, open-tent organization operating in the, kind of the LDS space. And I think it's really amazing what you've done. And
I appreciate that. We do still have to be pretty careful. There's a lot of people who want to come and be part of our thing, and
you exercise a little discretion too. I understand.
Be careful with some of that,
but still,
we've been able to dodge a lot of bullets. But I think we have some pretty good people who have really the best interests of the gospel and Christ and people in mind.
Well, one example is how you've been able to reach out to the new podcasters, for example.
Yeah.
You've brought them in and, and that's the main thing is we have members of the church, we love the gospel.
We do.
We really believe in the gospel and we want to do things and we want to, bring all of our mind and heart to fulfilling the potential of the gospel. Yeah. And you got to have, some action going. You got to have the different voices and different people, but with, a filter. You got to have a filter, which is your tough job. You're the one that has to do that.
It is tough. We get some really pretty amazing people. We get some kind of,
Well, you've done an amazing job of it.
With that, yeah.
But you have brought in people that can't get into some of the other kinds of fora, but who are nonetheless really sincere, really energetic, and really serious and reliable.
I kind of take that as my mission in life. I will accomplish what the Lord has for me to accomplish in my life if I help enough other people accomplish what the Lord sent them down to accomplish. A lot of people have great messages and great information, but no venue, no avenue to be able to disseminate that information out to other people, especially people who are out there seeking and looking for this kind of information.
Well, there you go. I think you put your finger right on what it is that your talent, which is that you don't have. It doesn't have to just be the Rod Meldrum program. It doesn't have to just
never
be.
has been.
Exactly. It isn't just what Rod Meldrum thinks. You are open to letting other people who are sincere and really are, stable, come in and providing them the venue to share what they have to share with everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's in a lot of ways that's trying to be true to what Joseph Smith said. Let men, and even with our own articles of faith, let men worship how, where, or what they may.
That's right.
So
and it's or the old expression that John Taylor said he heard from Joseph Smith: teach them correct principles, and then let them govern themselves. Let them take.
Well said. Well said, Jim. Listen, thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Everybody, thank
you. If you like these kind of interviews with these amazing presenters and so forth here at the Firm Foundation, go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps our YouTube channel to be able to do that. Also, if you'd like to see the full version of Jim's research involving the by means of the Urim and Thummim and future things, you want to go to our website. It's bookofmormonevidence.org. Subscribe to our streaming website, and then you can watch Jim's other presentations at the last three or four conferences. So we want to encourage everybody to do that and become subscribers, and it really helps our whole infrastructure to be able to do that. I want to thank you again, Jim.
Great. Thank you, Rod.
Best of luck with this new book.
Okay, thank you.
We'll help you get it out there.
All right, great. Thank you.
You bet.